12, Unit 3, Focus on Writing. That's what we're going to do today. The Road to Success. Can you open your textbook at page 76? Okay, today we are going to look at the Focus on Writing, which is the last part of our unit. So exciting. And we basically are going to do a review of all the vocabulary and go over some grammar today. Okay, let's start straight away. Read the possible thoughts of the sandy-haired man in Gotta Dance. Match the underlined words with a synonym from the box and write the appropriate letter in the blank next to each number. Yeah, so we've got backed, camaraderie, civility, comes together, dim, miss a beat, nurtured, pace, poise, proficient, reluctantly spare something and take it out of you. Now you have numbers 1 until 13. Read it, yeah, and see the underlined words. For example, number 1, we see wear you out, and finds the synonym in the box that gives the appropriate meaning and put that letter on the line before the number. You can pause your video and do that. Go ahead. Awesome. That brings us to expansion of the vocabulary. We studied a chart of collocations. Now, what are collocations? This is an important thing. Yeah, collocations is when we are connecting or when we connect words together to create a meaning. Yeah, so for example, you have achieve, success. Achieve is a word, success is a word. Yeah, but putting those two words together, it does not become a sentence. It's like a phrase. Putting it together, it creates one meaning: to achieve success. You don't say I'm successing. You don't say that, right? So collocations are words that we connect together in order to create one meaning. Even though the words are still two separate words, they do not become one word, but together it creates one particular meaning. Yeah, so it's a combination of words that are often used together. The noun success is frequently used with the verbs achieve or attain. Attain success or achieve success. Here we have the nouns in the list and verbs. So here we see collocations that can be put together. Now what I want you to do is, I want you to look at the nouns and verbs here from exercise 1 in the table. And I want you to pair it with the sentences to form collocations. Yeah, there can be more than one correct answer. So when we're looking at number 1, let me give you an example. Yeah, number 1, we have, for instance, Rosemary Tejada was able to, we could do achieve. Yeah, achieve. She was able to achieve her goal. Able to achieve her goal because she kept trying and never gave up when she encountered. We have the word here, encounter. You have to change it into the correct verb tense, yeah? When she encountered difficulties. You see that? So what you're going to do is you're connecting the nouns and the verbs in order to connect them together to create a collocation that brings meaning to the sentence. Now, you are going to do sentences 1 until 4. Go ahead. Okay, cool. So as we've learned just now, collocations are words, verbs, and nouns placed together in order to create one particular meaning. Yeah? Now we're going to look at hyphenated adjectives. Adjectives are words that modify nouns, right? Hyphenated means that they have like that little line in the middle. Now, when we use a two-word or compound adjective or a group of words before a noun, we use hyphens to link them. We also make some minor structural changes. Now, hyphenated adjectives can give texture, exuberance, and poetic feeling to a work of prose. So that means it's a written work. With descriptions, a man with sandy hair, light brown or blonde, we could say a sandy-haired man. Instead of saying a man with sandy hair, it's a long sentence with a lot of extra words like a or a, with. We can take all that away by just saying a sandy-haired man. So we combine sandy and hair. Like a table with 3 legs, a 3-legged table, but then we would need to put a hyphen in the middle. So we use hyphens for descriptions, and we also use hyphens for measurements in time or space involving plurals. A child who is 2 years old can be a 2-year-old child, or a house with 3 stories can be a 3-story house. Yeah, now many rules of hyphenation are complicated and may be unclear. If you are unsure, look up hyphens in a good grammar handbook or just Google it. You will find whether the word should be hyphenated or not. Is this important? This is important because by combining words and creating collocations, so basically this is collocations where you combine 2 words together or you combine adjectives together. This way you will create academic English, less wording, more concise and to the point. So this is very important to use in your essay writing. Yeah, instead of using a lot of words to explain, you can make it very short. I would like you to do the following expressions. Try to combine them instead of saying a blue boy with blue eyes. How can you make it a more concise sentence? Go ahead and try it out. Great, that brings us to number 5. Look back at the story Got It Ends and find 2 sentences that use the number of hyphenated adjectives in the climax of the story. That's the last 6 paragraphs. Then rewrite the expressions as hyphenated adjectives. A then step that tells the audience to wait a minute. Okay, now you're going to find a sentence, yeah, that uses a hyphenated adjective. Okay, so try to find how you can write this down. Let me look at the first one with you. Yeah, that brings us to number 1. We've got 4. Number 1, a then step that tells the audience to wait a minute. And it says in the text, it said an oh so easy, comma, wait a minute time step. An oh so easy, wait a minute time step. Now, oh so easy is hyphenated, right? Oh hyphen so hyphen easy. Wait a minute time step is wait hyphen a hyphen minute time hyphen step. So you need to find the sentence or phrase in the text that refers to this phrase, but the one that is hyphenated, and write it down. Okay, cool. Pause your video to do it. Okay, so we've been looking at connotations. We've been collocations, sorry, how words, verbs, and nouns are connected to create, even though it stays separate words, but together it creates one particular meaning. And we've looked at how adjectives can be hyphenated, and we hyphenate them because we're connecting them, like collocations. Yeah, so we would have to connect them in order for it to grammatically make sense, and by doing so you make the language more academic. On a piece of paper, answer the questions about yourself and other people you know, and use the underlined expressions in your answer. So for example, when Katie's relatives criticized her, it lit a fire under her. This is an expression, lit a fire under, because she didn't really put on a fire, right? It's implied. And she had to do something. What kinds of things make you angry? And then you have to answer this about yourself or about someone else. It is about you understanding the sayings that are used in this part. So we've got, let me look at the second one. Come together, look it out of her, reluctant, nurtured her imagination, and knock down, drag out, could you just die, great big Broadway baby finish. Answer the questions about yourself. This is the part of creating where you're creating, making sentences or answer by using the collocations and hyphenated adjectives and trying to write and use it, incorporate it with your own information. Okay, that brings us to the grammar. Examine these 2 sentences and discuss the questions with a partner. People who are unwilling to risk failure are not capable of achieving big successes. who are unwilling to risk failure. And the waitress stayed as pleasant the whole time as I was there, which was the better part of 2 hours, so I put down a good tip when I left. Okay, in the first sentence, which people are being discussed? 2. In the second sentence, how much time did Katie spend in the restaurant? Yeah, we go to the next one. Which words come at the beginning of the underlined phrases? Do you notice any difference in punctuation in the 2 sentences? Okay, try to answer questions 1 until 2. I give you a moment. Pause your video. Okay, this brings us to the part of identifying and non-identifying adjective clauses. This is basically the same as restrictive and non-restrictive. We already talked about this for the listening and speaking. If you remember, we did that already in this unit, and we also talked about this in grade 10 and 11. You also have this already as a summary in your ebook, so you can just look it up, yeah? Okay, you remember we talked about this. We have the simple sentence, compound complex, and compound complex. And we have 3 different types of dependent clauses, right? We have the noun dependent clause, which we call noun clause, adjective dependent clause, and adverb dependent clause, okay? The noun clause is basically replacing either the subject or the object. And we use the WH or WHF words. For the adjective clause, it refers to an action, and we use subordinate conjunctions, time, place, reason, and contrast. For the adjective dependent clause, it refers to an object, a noun, that is either mentioned, that is mostly mentioned in, always mentioned in the independent clause. And for that, we use the related pronouns, yeah? So who, whom, that, or who's for people, which and that for things. So the adjective clauses can be identifying or non-identifying. Remember, when it's identifying, so it's restrictive. Non-identifying is non-restrictive. When it is identifying, the dependent clause, which is the extra information, is very needed and necessary, because without it, the sentence will not make sense. Okay, so we have to add that information. And so because we have to, we do not use commas. Okay, now if it's non-identifying, which also means non-restrictive, then the extra information, which is the dependent clause, is not really necessary. We would want to put it in just to add info, but without it, the meaning would still make sense. So we have to use commas, okay? Cool beans, you got to remember that, okay? So the adjective clauses define, describe, or add information about nouns just as adjectives do. These clauses must have a subject and a verb, but they're fragments, okay? They're not a full sentence, so they're dependent. The adjective clause can begin with the relative pronouns who, whom, which, that, and whose, or the relative adverbs when and where. Those work too, but those are relative adverbs. When for time, where for place. Who is used for people, which is used for things, and that can be used for both people and things. Identifying adjective clauses, those are the restrictive ones, yeah, give information that is essential to the meaning, as I said just now. And as you see here, we do not use commas, yeah. The sentence itself is no longer has any precise meaning. So people, in this case, are not capable of achieving big success. This is vague and unclear because it implies that no one can ever succeed. Now, the adjective clause in this case is needed because it tells us specifically which people the statement is referring to. That's why no commas, because it's necessary. If it, though, becomes a non-identifying, means non-restrictive, it is not really necessary. Therefore, we have to use commas, okay? Awesome. Grammar tip though here, in non-identifying adjective clauses, we do not use that. So remember, that can be used for people and things, but that is only used in identifying, also called restrictive clauses. We do not use it for the non-identifying. We place commas at the beginning and end of the clause unless the clause comes at the end of the sentence. Cool beans. Now, if you're still confused, you can look it up. Your ebook does have the summary set. Cool beans. Now you're gonna try it. Underline the adjective clauses in the sentence. Woohoo! Decide whether they are identifying or non-identifying. That's easy. Write an I or an N on the line and then add the appropriate punctuation. There's at least one sentence here that could be both identifying or non-identifying. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. Remember, underline the adjective clause and write down whether it's identifying or non-identifying and add the punctuation. Pause your video to do so. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to the next part. Here in number 3, we're going to combine each pair of sentences into a single sentence using related pronouns and adjective clauses. We're going to make one sentence. As you can see, there are 2. We're going to make it into 1. Let's look at the example, yeah? Katie was a self-taught dancer. She considered herself a natural. 2 sentences, both have a subject and a verb. Making it into 1 can become like this. Katie, comma, who considered herself a natural, comma, was a self-taught dancer. So basically the first sentence is, Katie was a self-taught dancer. See? But we just insert the other sentence inside. Who refers to Katie? We use 2 commas because it's an extra information. Without this clause, it still makes sense because the subject is clear. If the subject is unclear, we don't know who we're talking about, or it doesn't have a complete thought or idea, then it becomes restrictive or identifying. Okay, you're gonna do number 2 and 3 and 4. Pause your video. And I didn't realize we have it until 6. Awesome beans, yeah. Okay, that brings us to the writing, final writing test. Basically, you've already been busy with this because this is for your journal. I just want to go over some of the parts that are added in this part of the unit. Yeah. So yeah, you are writing an essay on the 3 main qualities that a person must have in order to be successful, right, in life. Here, basically, it teaches us on free writing, as you can do your brainstorming through free writing, which is you start writing and just stop and see what you've gotten, which you can also use a mind map or whatever works for you, yeah? Writing the topic sentence, illustration, and conclusion, very important. Remember to always have a strong peel, P-E-E-L. Introduce your point, give the explanation and reasoning, give your evidence and link it back. And in this case, I would like you to read the paragraph and discuss the questions. Number 1 of the 3, what kind of information does the first sentence provide? 2, what do the next 6 sentences have to do with the first sentence? 3, which sentence does the last sentence refer back to? Pause your video to answer that. Go ahead. And that brings us to reading the information in the box and then complete the exercises, because this is important. This is kind of really helping you practice the scaffolding of your writing. The first one is illustration, which is an essential ingredient of effective writing. It uses to clarify or support the main idea. So basically the illustration is your explanation. That would be your EE, explanation and examples and or evidence. Yeah. So it's used to clarify, support the main idea. The main idea is mentioned in the topic sentence, which is the subtopic and the purpose, right? You know your introduction, hot, hook, overview, which is your bridge. And then your thesis statement, which holds the general topic and purpose. And then we have our body paragraphs, which each consist of a topic sentence, which is the subtopic and purpose. And then we've got P, peel, like that, right? Every main point is a P. Very good. And then our concluding paragraph. Okay, I'd like you to answer the questions. Here it says, try to develop an appropriate topic sentence for the fully developed paragraph on page 84. 84. Okay, make a topic sentence for this one. And then develop the idea of the topic sentence below. Write a complete paragraph showing support with peel, P-E-E-L, illustration and conclusion based on the information in Katie's story. Yeah, people who decide to follow their dreams sometimes have to be strong enough to go against the wishes of their family. This is a topic sentence. Now you continue the writing for it to become one paragraph. Yeah? Go ahead. Pause your video. Great, that brings us to number 5. Write an essay that discusses the 3 main qualities that a person needs to have in order to achieve success. Now, this is your journal book. This is your writing project, right? So you refer to the work you did in Prepare to Write and write on pages 82 and 84 just now. That relates to this part. Organize your thoughts. Be careful. Pay careful attention to the main elements, yeah? So remember that you have a clear introduction, hook overview, which is your bridge and your thesis statement, and clear body paragraphs, which have topic sentence and your main point detail, concluding sentence, and your concluding paragraph. Here are some suggestions for your thesis statement. You could say, for example, there are 3 main qualities necessary for success, blah, 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 blah. So this gives you an example of a thesis statement. Pause your video and fill this one out. Go ahead. That brings us to the revision, basically. Achieving a paragraph's unity. What does that mean? Well-written paragraphs have paragraph unity. So there is unity in a paragraph if all sentences focus on the same topic. That goes back to coherence and cohesion. So basically, you really develop what the thesis introduces in all the body paragraphs. So that is actually done by the topic sentences. And in each body paragraph, you develop the ideas according to the topic sentence, yeah? Work with the partner to read the paragraph and answer the questions. Number 1, according to the topic sentence, what is the subject of this paragraph? 2, which sentences do not belong in this paragraph? 3, what is the best concluding sentence for this paragraph? 8, 9, or 10. Pause your video. Okay, that brings us to looking at your draft. You've already brainstormed your journal. You've already written the outline and probably the draft. Please check it. Like, does each of your body paragraphs have paragraph unity? So really your coherence means the unity of ideas on a whole. So have you really placed your ideas correctly in your introduction, body 1, body 2, body 3, and conclusion? Then cohesion talks about the unity on a sentence level. Like, have in the paragraph you connected with transition words, main point 1 to main point 2 to main point 3. Is that connection from sentence to sentence clear or not? Yeah, so you can look at the final draft checklist. Here you have the checklist. Yeah, is your essay divided into clear paragraphs? Are the main points written in topic sentences? Do you have clear supporting details? Also illustration. This is your PPP and the last PL. Do you link back in your concluding sentence? Did you use identifying and non-identifying adjective clauses? And have you used no vocabulary and expressions? Have you included hyphenated adjectives in your essay? Make sure that this is present in your essay. Makes sense, right? It does. Awesome beans. Yeah. Okay, that brings us to the start. We're going to review. We have ended our lesson for today. So the first thing that we did today was reviewing our vocab, and we expanded on that, using it, recognizing it as in similes and definitions and synonyms. Then we expanded by our vocab by using collocations, nouns and verbs. We used the hyphenated adjectives, and we did creation as in answering questions based on our own information using the vocabulary. Then we did our grammar, identifying and non-identifying clauses within syntax, and we went over our writing project, looking at topic sentences, building the P, point, explanation, evidence, and linking, peel, and conclusion. How do we develop our ideas, and looking at creating a good thesis statement, looking at paragraph unity, and we had the final checklist for our writing project, our essay. You're set. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. In our next Zoom meeting, we will discuss this, so make sure you've got your questions ready for me, and I will answer them. And yeah, you guys did great today. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.